Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Sunaina?
I'm great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to share about Awaken.
I'm so excited too. Welcome everyone. We're here to talk about a new practice we're bringing on at Tejal Yoga, but not a new teacher. Sunaina has been an amazing, extraordinary teacher with us for a while now, starting with last year's Rooted program, which was so amazing. Got the best feedback. So we anniversaried it this year, and then we just wrapped it like in May. But I loved getting to experience that practice with you in person in April,
I'm so
and
excited.
it was so exciting. And it really prompted me to consider how do we bring something like that and incorporate like yogic movement onto our schedule in a way that feels like, first of all, I always want to get your availability and what feels good energetically for you, but also for the community. And so we landed on Mondays at 7:45 a.m. Pacific for a new 45-minute movement practice. And I just wanted to invite you to share about what Awaken will be and why you call it that. Why is it a weekly ritual for remembering? I just want to hear all about
Yes.
it.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, 7:45 Pacific time, which is 8:45 Mountain time. And this class is really something that I wish had existed for myself. Mondays are just a hard day in general, and I know that for me, the way that I start my mornings, the way that I start my week with intentionality, with groundedness, with movement, breath, reflection, community, it lays the foundation for the rest of the week for me. And so, I don't know, a lot of folks that I know start our Mondays by immediately waking up, looking at our phones, jumping into emails, going into to do lists, responsibilities, caring for everyone else, and, just taking whatever life throws at us. And we rarely pause to ask ourselves these really important questions about, what is it that I need today, right? Like, what is it that my body needs today? How can I be witnessed in what I'm going through? What do I have to move through this week that might be difficult or, hard to sit with? And so having the Awaken class, and really what it is it's a sangha. It's an opportunity to answer those questions as they appear in your life, and to do so in a container that is brave, that is safe, and also that is all about witnessing you and affirming who you are. And so, this Monday morning class is just a space to connect with yourself. It's going to be really beautiful. It's about practicing presence. And it's not about being perfect. It's about releasing that idea of perfectionism and showing up authentically, showing up with all of your baggage and saying, you know what, I have all this stuff, but I'm still going to call all that energy back to myself and focus on myself for this moment and be really, really present with myself and what's going on. And so we'll do a lot of different practices. We'll do pranayama, we'll do accessible yoga, we'll do a little bit of somatic dancing and shaking and affirmations. As you know, that's kind of my favorite thing. We'll sit together in meditation, we'll journal, right? And each month we'll explore different themes that align with yoga philosophy, which is really exciting. And really, the main thing that I want folks to take away is that it's this class is about being more embodied. And being embodied means being in your body, right? Not disconnecting from your body, not trying to go to the past or the future, just being present here and now with what is coming up. And so, yeah, my hope is that each person that comes to the class leaves feeling more connected to yourself than when you arrived, just a little bit more, even 10% more connected to yourself, more present with yourself and what's going on. That is what I want for everyone.
I think
So,
it's a great goal. I think it's a great goal. I love the way it's posed as a way to open up the week, like get yourself together, get yourself lighter and moving as the first kind of primary task you have for the week, and
mhm.
then dive into all of the other like practices and work and everything else you have on your schedule. So the thing that I'm wondering, I'm really curious about is like if you could think about our community and then who hasn't really shown up yet, what are a few of those like ideal people that you imagine would get a lot out of showing up?
Yeah, great question. I feel like who is this for, right? This is for people who have the following thoughts. The thoughts are, I don't have time for myself. Okay. Self-care is not a priority. I don't have time for myself. I feel disconnected from my body, right? It's for you. It's if you're feeling disconnected from your body, it's for you. Also, the people pleasers, where are you at, right? I keep putting everyone else first. Oh, my daughter has
Mhm.
to come first. My mother has to come first. My partner has to come first. You're not prioritizing yourself. This is for you. You need to start prioritizing yourself. Also, folks that want to go deeper into yoga and remember that it's not just about exercise. It's
Mm.
not just about the physical body. It's the mental, spiritual, emotional, all of the bodies that are connected within our body, right? This space is for you. This space is not for people who are focused on flexibility, right? You don't need meditation experience. You don't need to identify as a yogi or a spiritual person, right? You just have to be willing to show up as you are. So if you're ready to step into your higher self, your kind of embodied self, right? To be really
Mhm.
present with what's coming up for you, the space is for you. And it's really for everyone, all levels.
Yeah,
And kids
I
are
I
welcome.
totally appreciate that. And initially you're like, if you're putting your daughter first, you're putting your mother first, you're putting, your partner first. I'm like, well, obviously that's you. You've figured out how not to do that so that you can be there for them in a more embodied way, a more present, connected way, right? If you're feeling stretched and if you're feeling so thin that you might snap, it shows up, right? You snap. You end up not having patience for people. You end up not really being present or being a listener in scenarios. And then you don't necessarily, I know I don't necessarily feel good about that when I'm doing those things. And then I'm walking away thinking, that's not who I really am. That's not the impression I want to leave on people. And that just
Mm,
doesn't feel aligned with my higher self, the one that I'm not only am, but I'm also striving to be more of.
I
So,
love that.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we're remembering, right? Like that's also why I chose that name Awaken. It's because we're not trying to become someone new. We're actually trying to remember that most authentic, bright, shining energy that already exists within us, right? We're whole and complete as we are. We're remembering our intuition, we're remembering our relationship with our bodies and our connection to one another. So really when you show up for yourself in that way, you can show up in your relationships even
Yeah,
better.
and for those that are joining right now, we're talking about a practice that we're kicking off for free on Monday, June 29th at 7:45 a.m. Pacific. It's a 45-minute practice that will get you in your body. So if you're constantly up here in your head, we're going to go from top down, we're going to go from body up. And that's the practice, but then we're going to try and make a connection. Like I know Sunaina, you make a connection between your body movements and your mind so strong, so clear. So I want everyone to try it at least on Monday if they can. And then for those of you that are here, like what are your questions about this idea of joining a practice that's called Awaken, a weekly ritual for remembering? What does that show up um, like in your body? Yeah. So I
Mm.
would love to hear that. And then also, Sunaina, would you be interested in like sharing what people have shared with you, of course, anonymously, like what your practices have meant to them or what they've done for them?
Yeah, I'm happy to share, anonymously. I definitely receive a lot of feedback around nervous system regulation and specifically just slowing down in this really fast-paced society. So that's been something. Also, just this idea of feeling seen in community, feeling seen with Sangha, being able to share parts of yourself in a container that is closed and also honored, where other people aren't giving you feedback or advice about what you're sharing, but actually you're just being witnessed. If you're also, some other feedback I've received is that it's nourishing the whole self. It's not just this small physical part or the mental part or the emotional part. It's like this feeling of, oh my God, overall, I feel a lot better. Emotionally, I feel better, mentally, physically, spiritually. I leave with something, right? Something that maybe you can't necessarily name. It's not tangible, but it's a deeper spiritual energy that you leave with.
Yeah. I've
Mhm.
definitely received comments because after every Tejal Yoga practice, everyone who comes, even if you've been before, will get a quick email that just says, "How was your experience?" And you can write me directly. You can share anonymously. There's a link for that too. I think it's so important to give opportunities to share reflections and feedback. So I have those both ways going out consistently every time. And with Rooted, the practice that's going to be integrated into Awaken, um, people have shared that not only did it get them out of their head and out of their like fear and insecurity about movement and just moving freely with themselves, they did that through the guidance that you gave them. But when you practice at home, they're you can show up wearing anything. You can show up doing anything. You can show up kind of half distracted, but still try and be present. And you know what? We're totally okay with that because at the end of the day, like you're showing up and then you're giving yourself the opportunity to show up differently. And it's all about taking hold of the opportunity. It's not about showing up so you can do it perfectly. And even when you're at home doing a practice, you can keep your video on or off, and that's totally based on your comfort level. Like we have trust in our own ability to teach that we're going to offer something that will resonate regardless. And so that's important for us, but it's also important for you to know that's how you can function in a virtual space a little bit differently than you would maybe in other virtual spaces. The thing that connects everybody in these practices, though, is when we do our check in and you join. Like right when you join, we have a time for check in, and that's usually guided. So we share with you something you can check in on that's related to the theme or related to the time that it is. Like this practice is on Mondays. So you might be reflecting on your weekend, you might be reflecting on the week ahead. And then that's going to be asked of you. You always have the option to pass, so you don't have to check in with community, but you get to be present and hear everyone else checking in. The member community shows up from all over the world, so you get the benefit of not just being where you are and showing up, but also hearing how others are doing where they are when they show up. And that can look like Monday evening for them. It can look like Monday mid-morning for them because we have members, again, all over the world across all time zones. And then I wonder for you, Sunaina, as you think about like the offerings that you've accumulated and cultivated and crafted in such a unique way for the people that you want to serve, essentially, what are some standout experiences or offerings that you've had, even like tiny practices that you felt like have been so powerful for you and for who you're with?
That's that's a really good question. For me, I would say reframing the story, changing the narrative. And there's also this underlying idea that I like to leave students with is wanting to transform, wanting to change from the inside. Because there is that, the aparigraha, the attachment of not only the material, but this idea of who is Sunaina, who am I,
Mm.
how am I defining myself? So giving people the opportunity to change their identity and say, you know what? All these things, all this trauma from the past, all this stuff, it actually doesn't define me, right?
Mm.
This is my story, this is my narrative, and I'm able to rewrite it whenever I want, however I want, right? And I will rewrite that narrative. And also, I won't stop now, right? I'm not going to give up, and I won't stop now, right? This like really deeply ingrained feeling of I'm going to keep going forward no matter what happens because I know that divine spiritual energy and power is with me and that I am special. I am doing enough. And other people's reactions and other people's stuff is not actually a reflection of me, it's a reflection of them. Right. And so there's this one affirmation. And, the one thing that I know everybody is going to get from this is a ton of affirmations, which we love. And one of my favorite affirmations that I want to share is I simply allow other people to be themselves, and I solely and simply love myself. Right. And so it's, I'm going to let you do you, and I'm going to redirect that energy back to myself, and I'm going to transform whatever I'm getting into love. Right. So if you're ready for that next level, if you're ready to take people's negative energy and literally transform it and transmute it into love from your own life and let it heal you, empower you, this is for you.
Yeah, that is so excellent. I have worked with students, and I just want to thank you for sharing that because it's really recalling the students that I've worked with that. And let me also add, it's not just students that I've worked with, it's the closest people in my life to me. Okay, that I've sat with and I've talked about, like, how are you feeling? How are you spending your time lately? Right? It's nothing clinical. It's just what's going on with you? What's the latest? It's not a simple, how are you? Good. Okay, good. It's like, what's the latest like that you're feeling? And what is showing up for you that you feel like you need to work with? And I've
Mm-hmm.
had responses from people that say, you know what, Tejal? I don't even know how to identify a response to that. I don't even know what I'm feeling to be able to work with it. I don't even know how to take time for myself. I do things that I think are for me, but it's not actually moving anything within me. And I'm pretty sure I'm missing. I'm missing like the message. And that
Mm-hmm.
that like static within oneself, that unknowing, that not knowing, is so powerful and profound, but it can feel very grippy. It can feel very holding, like you're staying where you are. You know something's off. You know you want something, but that's all you know. You have no idea where to
Mm-hmm.
go, what direction. And I know your practice, the way we repeat things, the way we repeat things while we're moving, the way we repeat things and then kind of move our focus to the movement while we're repeating, all of that bouncing back and forth. It's rooted in like retraining the brain. It's rooted in repatterning our neural pathways. And so you might not feel any zap, but you might not feel any like shocking revelation. But the
Right.
reality is, with consistency and with practice of this process, not just the specifics, but the way we're kind of bouncing back and forth between what we're saying, what we're doing, what we're thinking, what we're doing, that is a really strong tactic for repatterning and reprogramming.
I love that you said that. I think you just hit it right on the head because that's really what it's all about. It's about reprogramming. And a lot of these practices, they don't target your conscious awareness of how you are right now. And like you said, the change isn't necessarily immediate, but it is targeting your subconscious mind and these kind of inner programs, the inner dialogue, the inner like conversation that's happening between maybe your ego and your higher self that is trying to break out, right? So it's just giving that opportunity of continuously um, practicing in order to embody when you're out of practice or when you're not
Yeah.
necessarily in the room, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome because I've experienced it multiple times with you, and I'm also undergone. I'm with going through EMDR therapy, and I'm seeing the parallels so clearly. And I'm like, this
Mm.
is such powerful work. Okay, it's going to show up for everyone a little differently. It's going to take time for everyone a little differently. But the idea of creating the ritual, right, of being in this practice once a week is going to be so powerful for what it is that a person is grappling with, not the same thing for everyone. You're not intention setting for everyone. Everyone's going to have something just under the surface and even deeper that's going to come up without their conscious knowing. And I think that I can't overstate that enough because it's going to be so powerful and moving when we take it in like ritual, week over week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so the last question I have for you, and it's not a small trivial question, just so you know. It's really about like our popular culture right now, the cultural zeitgeist that we're in that's giving us a lot of language to talk about, oh, this is how we regulate our nervous system, or like my nervous system's so out of whack. So I just do X, Y, and Z to like get back. Or this is like polyvagal theory. And so this is what we have to do for that. And this is what we can do to stimulate our vagus nerve. And there's so much language, okay? And it's not bad, it just is, right? This is where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk about the idea that we are a decolonial yoga space, right? And we are South Asian led. It's one of the few in the world, okay, that diasporically does what we do. And then we're bringing in seemingly something of the popular culture to just like maybe stay relevant. And I think that's like the negative viewpoint of what we do. But I want to flip that and just invite you to talk about how does this fit within a decolonial yoga narrative, and how does like somatic practices fit within, or come from the idea of yoga?
Wow, that is such a great question. And I love to think and research about the re-indigenization of our practices and what that looks like, especially in our spaces, because like you said, having us as a South Asian led team is, first of all, just unheard of. And second of all, there's this idea of regulating your nervous system, like you said, that isn't a very mainstream way. But we have to remember that these practices, even the shaking, even the affirmation through the reprogram of the mind, through mantras, through movement, through affirmations, all of these things, is that they have existed for thousands of years. Our ancestors have known what how much power the body has. We
Mm.
have known about the mind and the relationship with the mind body. There's a reason that even the mantras vibrate at such a frequency to literally change your DNA, to change the way that you move forward, right, in your life, because it is a vibration. Everything is vibration. So I think it's important to remember that somatics does have roots in Tantra, in Kundalini Yoga, and also so many other different ancient yoga practices, and that it's not this just kind of modern, new, hi-fi type of vibe, but it is something that we're actually pulling from the roots of the culture. And we can always look back and honor the teachers, honor the sampradaya, the lineage, and remember that we are the vessels and the vehicles that all of this information and knowledge travels through. And going back to the vagal theory, it's not even about only being in a sympathetic state or a state where you feel regulated and calm and cool, but it's actually about making sure that every single state, the parasympathetic, the sympathetic, and the ventral vagal state, are all balanced, right? So that we actually are going into fight or flight when we need to go into fight or flight. We're resting and digesting when we need to. We're processing trauma in the time when we're supposed to be processing. We're
Mm.
ensuring that everything is working according to how our bodies have been designed to survive for thousands of years, right? And so again, we're not suppressing one or the other, but we're remembering through the roots of yoga and through the roots of somatic and yoga together, that these practices have been around for thousands of years, and there's so much ancient and indigenous wisdom there that we can call upon, and that we can actually be the vessels to act, to say, you know what, I'm in my purpose when I'm doing this by helping myself and helping other people. And for me, I know that this is a part of my purpose. I've been shown that in visions, in dreams, and I have to basically preserve the teachings for the future generations. And that is a huge part of my purpose.
Oh my gosh. I'm so stoked. I'm so excited. I'm so inspired. I have a lot that I want to share about what we're talking about. So I just feel really grateful that we get to open this conversation together and then continue having you join us like weekly. This is like a dream come true. So I want everyone to run, don't walk, over to the website, tejalyoga.com/classes. You'll find a link to book your free practice for Monday, June 29th. And I will see everyone there shaking, swirling, moving, and doing their thing. Okay. So thank you so much. Can't wait to practice with you on Monday.
Thank you so much, Tejal. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And I will see you at the free class on Monday. Have a beautiful day today.
Bye, y'all.